Hello, everybody, and welcome to week 7 of the Aegis Marauders League summer season. My name is Moose. Jack, how you doing today?
Doing excellent. You know, now all these lame international events are out of the way. We can get to the real important League of Legends being played.
I sense a hint of sarcasm there. But no, I mean, it's important for us. It's important for, you and I. We've been casting now for a little while, and it's going to be very exciting to see this matchup in particular. I know, Jack, you've been really looking at some of these players, some of these different teams, and looking at what I predict is going to be a very important wildcard matchup here in the Noxus division: the Wanderers versus NLE Kittens. Now, two teams that I don't think have been on the stream yet. That is correct. But the important part about this is that they are currently in a 4-way tie with the 3rd through 6th seeds in this division. So this is a do or die situation for both of these teams, because the winner of this one is going to be one of the 4 teams to make it into the round of 16 playoffs. The other team is going to end their season tonight.
Yeah, and this is, for the Noxus division specifically, this was like the perfect way for the schedule to shake out, because you got Akuma Scimitars versus Drop Dead Gaming. The winner of that gets the 1st seed in the division because of the head-to-head series will go to whoever wins it. And then Conduit Jungle Victims, Wanderers, Dorado Gaming Zeta, and NLE Kittens, all with the same match record, as you said. But because each of those teams are playing another 2 and 3 team, whoever wins today are into the playoffs, and whoever loses are out. So for all of these teams, the road is so simple for them. Win and you're in. They all control their own destiny.
Yeah, and we haven't really taken a look at the arcane division between Piltover and Zon. That's our bit of a more dynamic roster there. Their standings and the way that their leagues are going are going to be a little bit different than some of the other leagues here in the or some of the other divisions here in this league. A little bit more convoluted ways to be able to get into the playoffs, but round of 16 starts next week. So this is your friendly reminder before we start the draft that it is going to be or we're going to be starting at 4 p.m. Starting next week for the playoffs. Let's go ahead and jump into the two rosters for these squads. We've got Wanderers first. A couple of names that I'm familiar with. I'm Bad, You're Awful, Holy Carrot, and Freak Tour, the three that I really am familiar with. But Jack, what do you got on this team?
Yeah, I'm going to do everyone a favor. Their top laner's name is Basic, and they're one of these fun guys who like to make their name silly, but they are pretty well known here, especially with this Wanderers roster, formerly referred to as Travelers, and in some other leagues have that Travelers moniker still. Even their sub roster, Papilio has been around for a while, and Freak Tour, as you said, this is someone who was very, very good last year. But Basic top lane has 200 Gangplank games. They have the most solo queue games played by anyone in this entire lobby, and I'm really looking for them to dominate, especially when we look at the top lane of NLE Kittens. Their top laners games played a bit lacking.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at that team now. NLE Kittens, Waddle, Everest, Printer, Rexus, and Nara. The only player that I know of on this roster is Jordan Bot, who's going to be one of the subs for this team. But players that I don't think I've yet casted unless there's been a name change like we saw in the Wanderers squad. But yeah, talked about that top lane, talked about games played, somewhat important.
Yeah, I believe these guys were pretty good in the league just below the AML, I believe the AEL. They had a pretty good year down there. One of the teams that promoted alongside teams like True Minded Gaming, Conduit, Jungle, Victims. So a lot of good promotion coming up, and I like to see some realistic first seasons when promoting up. They're not all dominating their divisions, they're fighting for it, but still competent, still competitive. Pantheon coming in after we see the Wukong Azir Aurora bans for NLE and the Draven Silas Xin bans. Pantheon has shot all the way up. We've been talking about how important this champion is right now on this patch in competitive play. 94% prio score. That's unbelievably high for the amount of games played. And the typical response is something like a Volibear that doesn't mind getting up close and personal. But with Trundle trending so high as well, I just feel like Volibear leaves me wanting a lot when I see him get played.
Yeah, I don't think we've seen a lot of success in the Volibear versus Pantheon matchup in terms of the Volibear, just because Pantheon can be so impactful for the entirety of the match. You can land a really good ultimate, get into a great position, land a stun, then the rest of the team can follow up. And a great follow-up with that for the Wanderers is going to be that Talia. Now, I like what NLE has decided to build with the Volibear, and that's that Sivir on the hunt, being able to get into the back line, something Volibear needs that little extra movement speed to be able to keep going. You can also see the Renekton get locked in here in the top lane. Early game dominance. Love the Pantheon Renekton duo. Going to be able to get assistance from the Talia as well, especially once we get to that level 6 Weaver's Wall. And so we're going to get a little bit of a asymmetrical draft here with the support getting picked up for NLE. The Braum is going to get locked in, and so we're going to be seeing some different bans coming in from both sides.
Yeah, I get that. I think Braum is like a really high priority pick when you see the amount of engage that Wanderers have. They don't have a ton of hard CC. It's mostly frontline target access with the Renekton stun, that shield vault from Pantheon. So having Braum be able to get in the way, apply those Winter's Bite stacks onto everyone will be very impactful. This new Sivir build has proven to be incredibly powerful. You don't go for any utility. You're not going for the Essence Reaver, the early Flicker Blade. It's full damage. Yuntal's Infinity Edge, the spike comes much sooner, and it's less of a like curve up like it used to be. It's more of like you're kind of bad for a little bit longer and then it spikes up hard. But I think that most experienced players are able to play it so well, and Rex does like more hyper carry-esque champions. Most played is the Draven, but I'm very confident that a player that's focusing on getting as much gold as they can, like a Draven player, will be successful on the Sivir. As confused by the NLE bans, they hovered the Xayah ban and ended up banning Rakan, which makes sense, one of Freak Tour's most played, but then go back and ban the Xayah. No Xayah games in Light's champ history, so just really worried about maybe their lack of engage at the moment, not wanting to leave them an 80 carry with an easy out. So that tells me that they're probably going to go for something hard engage on this mid lane, and with all the melees that Printer likes to play, I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Akali or Sylas, something like dive heavy mid.
Yeah, now we get to take a look at the remainder of this draft. We're going to start with the top lane, K'Sante versus Renekton. We've seen it time and time again, it feels like, Jack. So once again, going to be a very execution technical based matchup. Renekton can very easily win in that 1v1, but if K'Sante is able to outmaneuver, utilize their resources a little bit better, could see K'Sante being able to win those 1v1s. And if we get the Volibear up there, Renekton could be very, very tempting to go up against. Now, moving into the Wanderers lineup, Smolder is going to get locked in to go up against the Braum and the Sivir in the bottom lane. I am not expecting that the reason that this Smolder is picked is for the early game. You're trying to be able to get to that late game power spike. You're trying to be able to find whatever you can out of the, your execution once you're able to get those max stacks. And Alistar is going to be the final pickup here for the Wanderers. Very strong front line for this squad. Now, final pickup of the match, NLE deciding to give it to mid lane. Syndra's going to get hovered, and it is going to be the target up against the Taliyah. We talked about this last week. It's going to be the same thing here again, Jack. Syndra doesn't have any mobility, so it's not going to be hit by that unraveled earth. But if they do get hit by that seismic shove, Taliyah's going to have a very, very easy either flash or kill there in the lane.
Yeah, and it's interesting looking at the difference in these two compositions. Wanderers, I mean, those first three picks, I mean, Taliyah, when it was a jungle champ, it used to be so well paired with Renekton, because Renekton hits the point and click stun into the seismic shove. They were such a good combo. The same applies with Pantheon, so their top side is so strong. So I like the decision to pivot to a more scale-oriented bot lane, especially when you're matched up against Sivir, who also wants to scale. Smolder did receive some pretty nice buffs a couple patches ago that have proven to bring them back into the meta, which I'm happy, because I just think it's a fun champ. And Alistar rounding out the composition. I mean, when you look at NLE, they have no engage whatsoever. So they are going to have to be very creative if they want to go forward, and I think they're going to have to really rely on just really perfect execution, patience, timing. Let Wanderer come to them so you can land the easy scatter the weak, so you can get Sivir the uptime that they need, so you can have Volibear hitting these massive ultimates. Volibear's ult does a good amount of damage, but you don't want to use it to run forward. You might get out of position. So gonna be all about patience for NLE Kittens.
100%. It's always patience here. And if we're looking at the patience game for these two compositions, I'm gonna have to give it to Wanderers. You know, Taliyah Smolder is such a powerful late game powerhouse duo. You can burst down, you have at least consistent damage with the Smolder. Just have to make sure that they are protected. The Alistar and the Pantheon going to be able to do that. Early game, your bridge is going to be in the top lane. And now looking at the NLE Kitten side, I see a lot of CC in the I see a lot of CC in the early game, but I do not see a whole bunch of damage. I don't know if that kill potential is going to be there, so a little bit concerning in terms of how the early game is going to be played out for NLE Kittens. Could still very much go into their favor if they find the good gank angles from Emrys, if they can get the Sivir or Syndra online, so it's going to be up to Rexus and Printer to, you know, perform. And Waddle just cannot get caught out, cannot let Basic, can't let the Wanderer squad on the top side get too much. So I'm back and forth, but I'm gonna have to give it to Wanderers, at least in my mind. Let's go ahead and jump into the Dragon Draft here really quick. Jack, it was an Infernal Soul to end out the Week 6 series, which was a point for you. I'm gonna go ahead and continue on, and I will start off first. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, I think. I'm gonna go with the Mountain in game 1.
If you let me have it, I'm gonna take it. Hextech, Chemtech, my lucky charms.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Hextech, Chemtech. I'm gonna go with Cloud. I'm gonna go with Infernal. I'm gonna leave you with Ocean here, Jack, to round out that Dragon Draft. Folks, that is going to be it for the draft. We're going to be in spectator delay here in just a moment, so we will be back in just a bit for the start of game 1. Don't go anywhere, folks. See you soon.
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. Seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned.
Forced to use their flash, and Rex is going to try to go in. That's going to be the concussive blows landing, and I'm bad. Your alpha goes down. First blood goes to Rex's, and that's a great start for the NLE Kitten.
I mean, that's a perfect start. I was going to say the most important person on NLE is going to be Rex, because he's all their damage. He's all their guaranteed damage, and you're playing against 3 melees and a low-range mage. And now, starting with an extra 300 gold, certainly going to be an advantage, but ironically, Wanderers, it's going to be on bad your offer. They are the bridge in terms of damage once this mid-game comes around. And now, luckily, able to teleport, died before the minions crashed, so didn't miss much, but big misstep, and that's just going to accelerate NLE to a point where they can really get their damage online and not get outscaled.
And I mean, speaking of early game, I mentioned the power of the Talia getting to that Weaver's Wall, getting to really unlock the map for I'm Bad, You're Awful. And now no longer having a teleport, you're very susceptible to falling behind if you take a lot of damage. And you're even more susceptible to being forced to back because they don't have that flash. Emrys now could try to go in, try to land a flash stun, but also see that they're not going to be able to push the lane forward. And I think that that's what we're looking at now. I'm Bad, You're Awful needs to stay under tower in order to make sure that they are protected. Only benefit to the early game right now for Wanderers is that Rex was unable to back. So that 300 gold is going to be just in their pocket for the time being. Once they go back, that can mean a Cole. That can mean that they're able to get a BF sword or just a better item kit over Light, whose early game is already going to be relatively hard to deal with. But now here comes a way out of the blue gank from Basic. He pushed that lane forward and is going to be able to get a stun and a flash off of French Caps, which is really strong for the Wanderers squad.
Yeah, I mean, that's one way to help out your mid laner who died level 1. Gets the wave frozen in front of the enemy turret, as it looks like Freetor might be caught.
Gonna be slow landing, the concussive blows coming through. Freetor gonna be ignited, now gonna be dangerously low, and the second kill of the game is gonna go to Rex. A perfect start for NLE Kittens, really accelerating this Sivers gameplay, and there's nothing much that Light can do. There is no defense from Vincer, this Pantheon right now. They're gonna be up on the top side getting those Raptors, and so this lane is gonna be pushing forward. Not a lot of mana left on this Sivers, so they're probably going to be forced to back, but they're going to get a really good lane state to do that. Light going to be taking a little bit of damage, but it's not going to be much.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as it seemed like they at least stabilized the mid lane, bot lane continues to fall into disarray. Smolder is able to stay, able to secure all the XP and CS, so not going to fall too far behind in terms of minion gold, but 600 extra in the pocket of Sivir. Luckily, seems like they've frozen in a pretty good spot. Pickaxe, call. I like this decision. Probably could have just grabbed a BF sword and maybe some supportive items like a control ward, maybe still get the pots, but opts for enough damage and continuing to accelerate that gold with the call, going to allow them to easily stay in this lane, just farm up, get to their first dragon. Speaking of, spawning now is first dragon of the game, and we are going to probably see high priority from both teams as Smolder, with teleport as the summoner spell, going back bottom lane, but Volibear seems to have already started it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised that we're not going to be seeing the unsealed spellbook from either Freaktor or Nera. I think this season we've seen a lot of good utilization out of that summoner spell, or not summoner spell, that keystone, uh, in the support role, being able to get that extra smite, being able to have that teleport in lane a lot quicker. It allows you to maybe go for lane swaps you weren't necessarily able to go for before. We're not going to be seeing that this time. Just going to be Aftershock and then Grasp, or not Grasp, Guardian, right? Is
Yep.
the one that Nara has, Guardian, on that one. So not really too much, I guess, utility there at this point. You're going to be seeing just the lanes start to reset a little bit. The only other big development here is going to be Renekton, going to be backing. Does have the teleport available. He is going to use it to get back to lane to Waddle, who has now made a considerable CS lead. All of that roaming, giving Waddle a little bit more gold, and they have yet to back yet.
Yeah, they've been able to hold this freeze in front of their turret for so long and doing it without really getting too aggressive. And now with Emery's on this side of the map, they can get even more aggressive. Emery's able to, for a moment there, oh, here comes the Grand Starfall.
Going to be on a French Caps, and that is going to be a kill for the Wanderers. Vince is going to take it. I'm sure that the Wanderers would have loved to give that gold over to I'm Bad, You're Awful, but it will at least allow for Vincer to get their first item a little bit quicker, and they were able to get good utilization out of that first ultimate. That's good news for the Wanderers. Now we're going to be seeing a little bit of aggression coming in from Nara and Rex. A lot of concussive blows onto Freak Tour. No unbreakable will quite yet. Rex is going to get a lot of damage onto Freak Tour, but it's going to be followed up by Light and Freak Tour, landing a nice double knockup. Light comes in with some extra damage there, but now Rex is going to be a little bit stronger, and the Beat of Warfare is going to be claimed by NLE Kittens. We're also going to get a teleport from I'm Bad, You're Awful, and it's not going to do much of anything for the Wanderers this time. Meanwhile, in the top lane, that gank from Emery is going to pay off. Waddle is going to be able to get that first kill there.
That was so unfortunate for Wanderers. They had such a good turn opportunity, but Light has no mana. That means no access to the Super Scorcher Breath, no ability to flap forward, just has to stand back. And as soon as Sivir's cooldowns are back up and available, Rex turns, gets the kill onto Freak Tour. Both TPs come through, but this is pre-10 minutes. They are so slow.
Freak Tour coming in to assist Vincer. Now here comes the Weaver's Wall. Embers will go down. I'm Bad, You're Awful are going to pick up their first kill. Lost chapter completed, as well as 117 stacks on that Dark Seal. They will also get the majority of the Void Grubs 2-1. And so a good retaliation there from the Wanderers. No reset from Waddle. They're going to stay in the lane a little bit longer. Basic going to get those Wizard minions down. Very nice. And to use that slice and dice effectively there. But Light is there. Gonna be forced to flash away. Here comes Mom. Denied by Nara. That Unbreakable. So good at denying a lot of the damage that Smolder can do.
Yeah, really good roam by Freak Tour. They need to open up the map because they're losing in the lanes. Very good response, though, by NLE Kittens in the bottom lane, isolating Light, getting the flash out. Very important in these upcoming fights, as French Caps getting I'm Bad, You're Awful pretty low, has access to that unleashed power. So I'm Bad, You're Awful is going to have to be pretty careful about one more Dark Sphere, and they could easily be in kill range, as looks like the bot lane's trying to get aggressive again, maybe just looking for some stacks, but Pantheon is in the area, and Grand Starfall coming off cooldown pretty soon.
10 minutes about to hit here. Second dragon spawning. Very early take by NLE Kittens at around 5:15 to begin the match. We are going to be seeing a back animation coming through from Vincer. That would probably indicate to me that the Wanderers don't want to try to go for a dragon play. They don't want to try to go for a play here in the bottom lane, but it looks like they're going to try to go for something here in the mid lane. Nice flash by Fritz Caps to avoid the seismic shove. They'll survive. Unleash power utilized, and the Renekton goes down for the second time. And once again, Waddle is left to their own devices alone. They have a 20 CS advantage, and they've now been able to take 2 turret plates to the 0 that Basic has put on to that squad. Grand Starfall going to drop. Vince are going to try to get in on French Caps, and they will be able to get their second kill. I'm Bad You're Awful, though, dangerously low. They have the assistance of Vincer and Freaktor. They're in the mid lane. Meanwhile, Light's going to go for a teleport play against Rexus. Has the candy minion dealing a little bit of damage there. Mom is going to drop, but I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it. They do not have it. Rex is going to be on a rampage 4-0 now as Light goes down for the first time in the game.
Yeah, just felt like they weren't fighting back, and now they're diving.
Another play happening here in the top lane. Empress will pick up their second kill. Basic goes down. The Renekton will fall, and Waddle can continue to whack at this turret. We'll get it down to its last turret plate. Patty, if we can take a look at gold really quickly, because I think that's going to be a big deal here at this point in the game. Look at the items. First completed item for NLE Kittens in the top lane. Almost has that first tower down, forcing out the teleport from Basic, not onto the tower, but onto one of the minions. And they're not even carrying. They're perfectly content with this. I have to say, NLE is having a phenomenal start here.
Yeah, and they're all over the map. It's not just the plays in bot side. They're in mid lane. They're going top. They're responding to the Renekton, trying to make these moves. And it's great to point out that Casante's top lane got 4 plates. He got 4 plates while already having a completed item. So that's extremely impressive, an amount of gold they're going to be able to carry over into this mid game. Now, Sivir did go for the Essence WC. It's nearly a 1,500 gold difference, 5,000 gold for the Cassante. Every single lane, almost every single lane, ahead, bot, top, so far. And it's going to have to be this Pantheon Talia combo that keep them relevant until Smolder comes online. But Emrys again is just lurking. They see him this time, but so present on the map. It's not often you see a Volibear able to make as many moves across the map as a Pantheon. We see top lane outer turret goes down, 5,700 gold to 37, 2k gold difference at 13 minutes. Unbelievably impressive by Waddle, who I came into this game with very low expectations. Fewest solo queue games played of anyone in the lobby, and they really have shown up and put their name on the map against Basic.
And I mean, you don't get to see all of the skirmish games, or maybe if they're playing on a different account, but we're going to be seeing Waddle trying to flex that wallet here. Gets a lot of damage on the I'm Bad, You're Awful, but it wasn't enough to force the 3 members of the Wanderers off of that blue buff, but they're still going to be inside the blue side jungle, forcing Vincer to be delaying the take of that blue buff just a little bit longer here. Sorry about that, folks. We're going to be seeing a Glacial Vigor land onto Light. Light does not have a cleanse, and they're going to get stunned, and Rex is going to be unstoppable. This teleport has not gone in their favor. It has been used to get back to lane, and the second time it was used, Jack, Rex was able to get a kill solo, who's now 5-0, has the Essence Reaver, and is just about to complete that call.
Yeah, and that's a moment where it's great to point out the teleport. If they had a cleanse, if they had a barrier, although Pantheon coming in.
Trying to get out, will use the flash, trying to be able to get away from I'm Bad, You're Awful, but it's not going to happen. I'm Bad, You're Awful is going to get a shutdown, and both those kills are going to go to the way of Wanderers. Just a little bit of an overextension there, and French Caps going for a bad teleport this time. Everyone being at the wrong place at the wrong time with their teleports, and I'm Bad, You're Awful is now going to be on a killing spree. 3-1-3, getting a ton of gold going down to the bottom lane.
That is a massive turnaround, especially when you consider the fact that the Sivir, like I mentioned, not going for the most optimal build. You now have yourselves an even mid lane where you have the Seraphs completed, you have the Boots of Lucidity, Pantheon able to kind of get back into an advantageous position against the Volibear, and this is the kind of response we've been looking for. It feels like NLE Kittens have just been running all over the map, first to move everywhere, first to initiate everywhere, and finally Wanderers didn't just roll over, they made a play in response, and they were able to pick up 3 kills. Do want to give some credit to Nera on that early bot lane kill. They were able to get onto Smolder. One of the big reasons they got it is because they used the Unbreakable and walked past Light to intercept Mom before it could heal Smolder. And that was able to keep that health low. And like I was going to say, no cleanse, no heal, no barrier. Does get a turret's worth of gold into their pocket. Hopefully that can help accelerate the build for them as Silver's Call has completed, so it's a net 180 gold once they get back and sell it. Just really, really impressive positioning from NLE Kittens, even considering the good plays made by Wanderers.
Definitely so, and it is a game that we're seeing 2 players, I feel, really outperforming the rest in terms of gold economy. The Wanderers, it's going to be Vincer, and it's going to be I'm Bad, You're Awful. They both have a considerable amount of gold in their pocket. Vincer's going to have frontline, and they're going to be able to get that extra bit of AP power from I'm Bad, You're Awful, but they will not have that flash. It'd be a nice roam from NLE Kittens into the mid lane. Rex, Empress, Waddle, all there to force that out and to get some mid lane priority before they start that dragon. They also capitalized on getting that Rift Herald and put that there into the mid lane to get that headbutt. As we're going to see the Weaver's Wall pop. Now here comes the Grand Starfall. 4 members of the Wanderers are going to be caught out together, and Rex is going to go down to Freak Tour. Going to be 1 kill for Rexes before they fall on to Vincer, but Basic is in. Basic has come through and is able to get themselves their first kill. But on the other side of that, Waddle, who has been patiently gathering gold for the majority of this game, is going to be able to come in and get their second. Now 2-0-3, and you've got 2 tanky members of NLE Kittens still alive. I'm Bad, You're Awful without mana, and Basic is the one with the blue buff. That's going to mean that NLE Kittens have the opportunity to get the 3rd dragon of the game and give themselves a lead.
Absolute bloodbath. It started with very aggressive positioning from I'm Bad, You're Awful, gets off a Weaver's Wall and cuts off NLE Kittens. Then you had the collapse by NLE Kittens trying to get on to... Oh, they're still fighting over this.
And it's not going to be the dragon getting taken by Emerson. Now, I'm Bad, You're Awful. They're on a rampage. Teleport flank to be able to take out the jungler. And now the dragon going to be down to less than 2,000 HP. Vince are going to be able to pounce onto that, and that's going to be Dragon. Hextech Drake, point for you, and the Dragon Jade Jack. But the fighting on overhead as Waddle is trying to be able to get away, but they're also going to be able to get a lot of damage on the Freak Tour. But no, it's I'm Bad, You're Awful with an amazing seismic shove. Gonna keep everyone there and is gonna get themselves another kill, but Rexus comes back. They're still a powerful member of this team. They're gonna try to get out Light. No, they cannot. And this appears to be an absolute disaster for NLE Kittens. The Wanderers now, with 4 members on the field, they get the second dragon. They shut down. Rex isn't getting any more gold for another 20 seconds. They get the mid lane turret before NLE Kittens, even though they dropped the Rift Herald there. And now for the first time in the game, I feel, they've got themselves in the driver's seat.
I mean, there's a lot to go over. An absolute chaotic mess of a 3rd dragon fight. NLE Kittens got a very poor hand dealt to them in that first fight. They got sandwiched in. They got 4-man pulverized in it. Smolder and Talia were just ripping them to shreds, and they ended up going 3 for 3, but over chasing. The only reason they didn't both go down, Volibear and Cassante, is because, as you mentioned, Talia ran out of mana. But I'm really impressed that Wanderers, they kept it going. They understood that Volibear's probably going to greed for the dragon, as Light going to have to flap away here. They kept going for contest on the dragon. They didn't give it up. They're able to kill Emery's, and they're able to secure that 3rd dragon. And other than I'm Bad, You're Awful overextending a little bit to try and get another kill onto French Caps, Wanderers played that really well. Talia gave over the shutdown to Rex, which is not great, but really good, as Rex now in trouble. Pulverize does miss, but they're so aggressive on this mid lane turn. They know they have to equalize the mid lane push, and they're going to do that by killing this outer turret.
Arcot going to be spawning in the bottom lane. They're unable to get that tower down in the mid lane. The defense from the Wanderers is there, and while they were defending it, I'm Bad You're Awful will be able to get some more gold into their pocket. Will pick up the turret in the top lane, and the call is now to go for this Otacon in the bottom lane, try to get some more stats on the field. Even though they did not get that second dragon, they do have the Rift Herald, and it looks like they're going to be able to get it with all 5 members wailing onto it. Gonna be
Pantheon
coming through. Pantheon almost able to succeed at finding it, but I don't think that Otacon is going to be worth it for them. I'm Bad You're Awful. The Weavers are going to keep everyone into that fight. 2 members of NLE Kittens go down. Wanderers are going to go for the ace, and they're going to get it. An ace for the Wanderers for Otacon is a trade that I will take any day of the week, and they're going to see if they can capitalize upon it further. Teleport's going to come through from the Renekton into the top lane. They're going to be able to get some big damage onto that, and they might even look to go for more here in the jungle of NLE Kitten.
A complete disaster for the Kittens. It started as an uncontested Otacon and turned into a clean ace. Basic and Pantheon, or excuse me, Basic and Vincer were so incredibly synchronized, able to dive into the backline. While they didn't get the objective, they immediately kill Rex. Basic is able to survive utilizing the Call of the Meek. It looks like Bad and Awful overstayed their welcome, understands they're dead here. Unfortunately, it goes under Rex, so even more gold into the Sivir, a second shutdown onto Talia. But the rest of that Otacon fight, it was just so clean by Wanderers, lay down all their damage, get every single target, and this was some of the concerns we had in the draft phase. Wanderers teamfight is so easy to play out. You just go front to back. You've got such good front line, such good dive. And for the side of NLE Kittens, they don't have any real disengage. You just have to hope and pray that Braum can hold the door long enough to prevent Wanderers from getting forward, to allow Sivir the uptime. And when Sivir goes down as the first member in your fight, it's a really bad show for NLE Kittens. They're going to have to be super conscious come the next fight of how they take care of Rex.
They will be able to get some turret or some gold back into their pockets. French Caps will be able to take the bottom tier 1 tower. Waddle going to be putting in some damage onto that inner tower in the top lane as the Wanderers reset. Now, I think the reason why I'm Bad You're Awful stayed in the mid lane and accepted their own fate was so that they were able to get that Rabadon's death cap using the money that they got from that inner tower. But they might have put themselves into a bad spot here. Waddle is there. I'm Bad You're Awful, barely able to survive thanks to that Seraph's shield, and the rest of the Wanderers are there just in time. Grand Starfall from Vincer will keep them alive, and that's going to mean Waddle goes down for the 3rd time in this contest. Vincer, though, in trouble themselves, going to be forced to use that flash, not hit by that 4th concussive blow, but ends up still being a power play for the next 30 seconds for the Wanderers. Here comes Talia going into the mid lane. Knockup going to land in onto Emrys, who's going to land a Stone to Freak Sword. Basic, try to see if they can find anything, and Mom is also used. So unfortunately, they will be unable to get out the Volibear before this dragon fight. XX Soul is now looking to be the Wanderers, and I think it is going to be the Wanderers here in this game 1. You'll be looking at around 29 minutes for a take there if the game gets to that point. Baron spawning in a minute. French Cap's going to get another turret, some more gold into their pockets. Back then being 0 and 5, they have themselves 2 completed items. They're looking to stay in contest against I'm Bad You're Awful, but it's going to be a very hard uphill battle. Addy, if we can take a look at the gold really quick, because I think we're going to be seeing some big shifts to what we saw from the last time we played. Still going to be a 2,000 gold lead for Rexus, but the big lead is going to be in the mid lane. 3,000 gold for I'm Bad You're Awful in favor against French Cap.
Yeah, and that's really showing in these fights. French Caps not only dealing little damage, but not able to move forward with the safety that Talia is, that Seraph's Embrace provides you with so much survivability. And Syndra just sitting on a fully stacked tier, doesn't have even that staff. Has to wait on that item completion as Baron does spawn on the map. Another big thing to look at Smolder building towards their third item, going to start seeing some more damage come online. Sivir, obviously, very accelerated at this point, about one more item away from full crit chance, and we'll start to see some similar amounts of damage come out in comparison to the other more viable build. 2 cosmic drives completed. This is one of the reasons that I think Volibear struggles later in games. The itemization never really seems too consistent. You've got one full AP item, you've got a Frost Fist, you're really not completely lining up in any direction, so not going to be tanky enough to really stand out against Smolder and Pantheon, especially with that Black Cleaver being considered. As looks like they're committing to this bot side. Rex is extremely low. They're going to go for it.
Yeah, forced out the flash there. Max stacks stacks to hit the execute for light, and that's going to allow for them to take out Nera. Freak Tour will get their second kill of the game, and Baron is going to be started by the Wanderers here. Looking at the bottom lane, both Basic and Waddle have their teleports, but the moment that one of them uses it, the other one could go for a stun and then go for a play themselves. And so they might not be part of this fight, but we are going to be able to get a teleport there out of Basic. I don't know why Waddle left them, and Embers are going to try to go in for the Stormbreaker, for the Baron was still way too healthy, and the NLE Kittens are completely collapsing. Going to be Baron going the way of Wanderers. Basic is going to let French Caps go, so they're going to give the kill over to I'm Bad, You're Awful. And that's going to be 2 members of the NLE Kittens now dead. Baron power play for the next 2 3/4 minutes. And with 2 minutes remaining until the next Drake spawns, that could be Hextech, Soul, and Baron for about a minute for the Wanderers if they play it right. And they're going to have the ability to set up as well, considering that Emerson French Caps are still down.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed out Waddle's pathing there. I thought at first that they were getting space so that they could teleport up without getting canceled. But then once Basic starts channeling their teleport, I'm not sure why Waddle didn't just do the same. Emery's goes in way too early and now getting caught out of the Hex Gate.
Light does have Mom out, going to be able to get some damage in on Rexus, on Nera. They have the execute tick on for the time being. Here comes I'm Bad, You're Awful with a teleport. Embers is now going to be targeted. Doesn't have the Stormbringer yet, but does have a flash. Will be able to get away. Siding shot going to land in on Waddle. They're going to see if they can get into I'm Bad, You're Awful, but they will be able to use their flash themselves. Basic is there. We got Freakter coming in, and there it is, finally being able to get those health bars down low enough for the execute to land, and Smolder's gonna get a double kill. Freakter gonna go up against Waddle. I think Waddle will win that one, but the Grand Starfall comes in from Vincer, who is 9-1-13 to finish the job on the Cassante. Godlike. Phenomenal performance coming out from the Wanderers to bring this game back after a dismal early game. I don't even think they have to go for a dragon play here. They've got 20 seconds until French Caps comes back on. They can get inhibitors down. If they can get Embers out, that would be huge. They don't even need to. They're going to be able to get multiple towers down. And this is looking like a game 1 win for the Wanderers.
It's certainly, at least, they get these 2 inhibs. They're going to play it as safe as they can, grabbing away jungle camps, moving towards this Hextech Soul. Gonna make it even more. Actually, they've realized they can just wait for a bait. They're gonna get a kill.
They're gonna try to go for Emrys. Stormbringer used, Mom used. Emrys very low. Does get a little bit of shielding, will be able to get back, but that's Basic going down. That's gonna be a kill for French Caps. It's gonna be 2 kills for French Caps. It's gonna be 3 kills for French Caps, as they're able to take out I'm Bad, You're Awful as well. A lot of money going immediately into the Syndra's pocket, and that bait ended up being disastrous for them. NLE Kittens get French Caps a quadra kill, now with a respectable stat line, 4-7-5. They might even be able to get this dragon, and indeed, they're going to be able to get it, denying Hextech Soul, and this game continues.
I mean, who baited who? That is the question. All of Wanderer's turnaround, I think it was the right call, because you have the vision, you know that they're going to be sprinting towards the dragon to not give up Soul, but I don't know if it was just botched execution. They don't kill Emery's in one shot. They're able to use the Stormbringer to get out. Then Nera Hex Gates and is able to use Unbreakable and the Glacial Fissure to disrupt and prevent a lot of damage. And then you start to see what late game Syndra is capable of. Kill after kill after kill. just hit a max range scatter the weak to take out Light, and not only getting those 4 kills, but multiple shutdowns. This is a massive influx of gold, allows for the completion of Arabidons, allows for that Seeker's Arm Guard to be bought. Now they have the survivability they lacked previously to play more aggressively. They're looking for this top lane turret now. I like that Wanderers is staying aggressive. They understand that that could have easily just been a mistake, a fluke. We can still play aggro. We're still up around 4k gold, 3k gold, excuse me. They still have 4 completed items on the Talia. And with Infinity Edge being built on Smolder, they're only going to get stronger. So good to see Wanderers. They aren't pulling back. They don't flinch after that mistake. They're going to try and get this 3rd inhibitor, which would make it almost impossible for NLE to leave the base.
But there is no Infinity Edge on Light yet. They've got 4 items completed for Rex, however, with Flicker Blade now in store. Got 3 items completed, like you said, for French Caps. 3 items now completed for all of the main members of NLE Kittens, except for the support. Even the support has 3 completed items, pardon me. So this game, when we're going to see the post game here, Jack, we're going to be seeing massive gold mountains and valleys, I think, for both teams. Wanderers at one point with a 7,000 gold lead, I believe, right after they got that Baron. And now they've only, like you said, have about a 2,000, maybe a 3,000 gold lead here at this point. That push in the top lane, they were unable to pick up that turret nor the inhibitor. And it does look like the inhibitors are about to respawn relatively soon, Jack, with Baron spawning in about 30 seconds. NLE Kittens can play this right. They can get Baron. They can win the game. And so a very pivotal spot in this match, a pivotal game, and a great start to this series excitement-wise. But I'm sure the stress levels on both these teams are through the roof. We got about 20 seconds before Baron spawn.
Yeah, extremely stressful for NLE Kittens. You see how cautiously they're moving through their top jungle. They know they have no engage. They have such hard blind. They just can't walk into anything blind. If they go into the wrong bush, I know it went well for them last time, but they could easily just get wiped. Massive pulverizes come through. They have no hard CC, no ability to peek these brushes. And so now they're having to just clump up as a complete unit, walk in as a group. And, you know, who is going to walk into the bush? Can't be Braum. That's your entire defense in one champion. Can't be Volibear. They're not a real tank. Cassante kind of has to play in between. And now, as you mentioned, the top lane minions are starting to get towards the turret and just full retreat. They're getting their Nexus turrets hit, one Nexus turret going down, and they're going to end up just giving the Baron and try and live to fight for this next dragon.
Yeah, I was waiting to see when the super minions would stop spawning, and there was just enough time on the clock for Wanderers to be able to wait it out, and that earlier warding ended up working well into their favor. They didn't get the turret in the top lane, but the vision and the ability to put that fear into NLE Kittens' eyes was enough for them to be forced to push back, and they even get more out of that engagement than I think that they were hoping for. Not only do they get the Baron, but they do get one of those Nexus towers down. At the moment, no vision wards, but that's not irrelevant. We have Vincer and Freaktor coming in. Nice headbutt pulverize from Freaktor, followed up by Vincer. It's currently a 2-for-1 in this team fight as Rex was able to take out Freaktor, but the Grand Starfall into the backline. Nara's gonna be in trouble. Light's gonna be able to flat. Plasma's gonna be Nara going down. It's now a 3-for-1 in favor of the Wanderers, and that Baron is gonna be huge for the blue side. Low health bars on multiple members of the Wanderers, though. NLE Kitten's going to try to be able to go for the reset. And indeed, they're going to see if they can go for any sort of captures here. Vincer and Basic are dangerously low. Vincer's going to go in. Oh my god! 13-1 on Vincer. Still survives. Doesn't even need this Derek's gauge. They're going to be able to take Empress down. 46 seconds on their death timer. Light escapes as well. And it's going to be the Wanderers are going to get Hextech Soul at the 35-minute mark.
Oh my god, that was so close to being the end of the game. Not being able to kill Rex means they can't end there. And just great engage by Wanderers. It feels like someone in their comms was like, guys, our draft is so much better. We should just hit all of our buttons and jump on their head. And that's exactly what they do. Get an immediate 3-man advantage. Yes, Freak Tour does go down, but they're able to get so much damage down early. And as you see, as these gold leads, they get higher and higher, but this gold starts to mean less and less the higher we climb. You're seeing full build for a lot of these champs. Sivir, Syndra getting very close to Leah already there. Smolder approaching as well. Good to see that the top and jungle for both teams are indexing into tank, but now again, they've found an engage in the jungle.
Yeah, and that's also going to be the slow from the Hex Soul. Wado going to have to use the kit to be able to get out. Still has the all-out available, but they're unable to get the red buff. You've got red buff slow, and you've got the Hextech Soul slow for the Wanderers. On top of that, you've got Baron for the next minute 15. If you're the Wanderers, you're looking to end this game. Grand Starfall used by Vincent to be able to get back into this fray, and 5 members of the Wanderers squads into the top lane will be able to take out that inhibitor. And now they look to push in through the mid lane, or they can look to push and get the super or the double super minions, and that appears to be what they're going to do. They've still got 50 seconds remaining on that Baron. Wanderers, I think, need to look for the end now. They've got so much going for them. If they can do it, they would have the lead moving into game 2, much closer to being able to get into the playoffs. And it looks like that's going to be the call to go for the end now. All three lanes are going to have those double super minions. The minion wave from the NLE Kittens is now gone. They just need to wait for the minions to come through. And there's one wave coming in. It's not the super minions just yet. The mid wave is on their way. Baron is gone, but the Wanderers still have that Hextech Soul. They still got that red buff on all 5 members. Try to go for those slows. Here comes the mom. Mom is going to be dodged by NLE Kittens. And the first wave of super minions do not succeed at getting that turret down.
2 double super minion waves are finally here. If they're going to do it, NLE has to save the game right now.
Have to go for a good engage, but where is the engage on this squad? Where is the CC? I see the CC from the Wanderers, though. They're able to find Nara. Nara goes down, unable to use the Glacial Fissure. Neris is next, like getting those executes from Mom. There comes the Grand Starfall to get into the backline or what remains of it. And GGWP for the Wanderers. They will win game 1.
Oh my god, what a marathon. They finally pulled the trigger. So much wave clear between Rex and French Caps, but finally they're able to end this game out. The Smolder came fully online. Vincer, an absolute monster, only died 1 time that entire game. I'm Bad You're Awful recovered so well from that early deficit. And I want to take a quick moment. You know, Freak Tour, massive pulverizing gauges, but Basic never really on paper recovered from the early game state from getting the wave frozen so many times. But their command of Renekton being able to go into the backline every time with such coordination with Vincer, and you saw when Vincer had like 1 HP and Volibear hit the Hex Gate to get behind them, and they layered the CC so perfectly to where Emery's didn't even get a chance to move. Just, I love to see the no fear. They do not flinch and they hold strong. That's what you got to see out of teams when they're trying to make the playoffs.
I mean, this gold graph is so back and forth. The early game power that NLE Kittens had was based on this Sivir getting so far ahead. Rex was commanding a 2,000 to 3,000 gold lead against Light for a majority, almost the entirety of the game. But there was never a break point where they were just able to just run away with it. And you said it, I think, so important, so impactfully. And I think we have to emphasize that again. There was just not enough CC on the Kitten squad, guaranteed, to be able to lock someone down so that Rex was able to get that big chunk of damage in. If there was an Alistair on for Rex to be able to keep someone in place for a little while, if there was a Pantheon if there was a Renekton, anyone to keep someone in place so that Rex could then just wail on them, I think that they would have then be able to have that break point. They would have been able to pop off and win the game. But the overwhelming amount of CC, Hecht, Light, and I'm bad, you're awful, is I think the key difference maker here for the Wanderers to win game one. They will now be at match point. They are one game away from making it into the playoffs. And so a very hard fought battle, but well deserved throughout the entirety of that game for the blue side. And NLE Kittens are going to have to come back with a much better strategy moving into game two. We'll be back in just a minute to jump into that draft, folks. See you guys shortly. Welcome back, everybody, here to the start of game 2 here at the AML. I am hearing myself twice, so Jack, I'm going to put it over to you.
Yeah, same thing. Production, we kicked it up a notch behind the scenes, and always going to be a fun little adjustment. But now, heading into game 2, a lot of prio stuff off the board for Wanderers. You mentioned stuff like the Renekton, the Talia, the Pantheon, but still a lot of high priority Varus, Vi, Trundle, Xin Zhao, Wukong. I mean, the jungle is still wide open. I think you did a good job of mentioning last game a lot of engaged champs that would have made it a different play out for NLE, but you mentioned a lot of good picks that were taken by Wanderers. There was so much stuff that they were like, nope, we want Volibear, and that just really didn't work out in their favor. Bans seem pretty similar, but targeting mid lane of Wanderer, I think is a good idea. If you saw, that last game on Bad You're Awful on the Talia, an absolute nightmare. So I can't imagine what he'd be able to do with an Azir on his side. And I'm expecting NLE to continue to prioritize jungle heavily. I don't think that Volibear was necessarily the problem, or that Emrys as a player was the problem. But with Varus gone, with Azir gone, let's try and grab a jungle that we like. And they are going to, for now, hovering. A lot of option, but I don't think Wukong would be very bad.
I love Wukong's start. You get so much more, I think, out of this beginning of the match, because you now have so many options to be able to follow that up with. You can go for other things that like to follow up with the knockup. You now have some guaranteed CC. It's very difficult to get out of a Nimbus Strike Cyclone before the knockup lands. And so I really like this start. I think it was banned in game 1, and so it's going to be available here. The Wanderers are going to go with Xin Zhao in response, and they're going to go with that Ziggs. I have a sinking suspicion that that is going to be a bottom lane as Ziggs. However, could go either way, can still be flexible. NLE, if I want to keep the boat going, I'm thinking maybe we're going to be seeing, I don't necessarily recommend it, but I'm thinking we might be seeing a Tristana here. I don't know for sure, but that's my sinking suspicion.
But their homework. I mean, Ziggs certainly fits the mold. Light, I think Light had a great game 1. NLE are going to run back kind of the Wanderers game plan last time and grabbing a full top side. I don't know if they're fooled by this Ziggs. It's the 3rd most played by Light, and it's the most played bottom laner that's up and available, with Jhin banned and Sivir being fearless banned. Ziggs is the next most, and now I think they're probably going to just finish out bot lane like we saw. It's the same strategy for the sides, but the teams have swapped sides. So we have full top side for blue, and red has gone with jungler and their bottom lanes. And I like this adaptation for Wanderer getting put on red side, NLE making the correct choice to go over to blue, and Wanderers recognize last game not having a support that really fit with what the team wanted to do really hurt NLE. Having the Braum that was just there for support and disengage and protection when the rest of the team was really needing engage hurt them a lot. And even when they were ahead, it put them behind. So now no Rel, no Rakan, and that really leaves Nara, I mean, it leaves Nara looking. I'm thinking we're going to look towards stuff like Maokai, maybe Thresh even. They are at the bottom of their pool, and I don't see any Nautilus in their history. So Wanderers can pick a top laner here. I mean, they can pick whatever they want because they're going to get counter on both solo lanes, and they're going to try and maybe just go for a safe, real, like, no contest island topside, and it is going to be the Mundo, able to just sit around top lane, push, and not absorb too many resources.
Definitely so, and Mundo should do fine against an Mbessa as long as you don't, I think, do what you were doing in game 1, which was be so mobile and wandering down into the mid lane as much as they did. I'm looking to see on Bad You're Awful not go for some, or not get killed very early on. Wanderers decided to go for the Kaisa. for their final or for their AD pick. Nautilus a great pairing with it. This is a composition that has Engage. This is a composition that has CC. And so I'm not opposed to this. I think that it would round out the composition relatively well, albeit you might be lacking a little bit in the damage department again. And it is going to be the case, but I think that was going to be regardless if Kaisa and Ari are going to have to get going, going to have to be that late game insurance. And Mbessa Wukong going to have to be that early game bridge. It'll be a little bit harder because because Wukong does need to get to that level 6. I like it better than we saw in game 1, but now what do the Wanderers decide to go for as their final pick? Vygar getting locked in. Now, I have to criticize it. Where's the early game?
Yeah, it's not looking good for that point, but the reason I was looking off is I'm looking at I'm Bad You're Awful's champ pool, and I'm saying like everything's gone. Their whole pool is these like hybrid top lane flex picks, no Talia available, no Azir, no Aurora, no Sylas. They banned it, and I'm like, they need someone with disengage. Are they gonna go Victor? He doesn't play Victor. Are they gonna go Orianna? He doesn't play Orianna. And then Veigar comes out, and I'm like, a silver player could play Veigar in this game. You just put down the cage right in front of NLE, and every single one of NLE's champions have the exact same objective. Dive forward. Sprint forward. It doesn't matter how you do it. Just go forward. Break through the lines. And Veigar, at the very least, is going to buy you like 3 seconds where that is impossible. So I think it's a good band-aid for that aspect, but in total, I think NLE are able to achieve what Wanderers did game 1. Their team comp is so easy to execute in terms of team fighting. They all have the exact same objective, and it makes it so easy to get on the same page, so easy to coordinate. And I just think it makes some of those synergy issues we saw in game 1 that led to the collapse, it eases those moments and provides for a good transition, especially when you consider that champions like Kaisa received massive indirect buffs on this patch, with Kraken Slayer getting huge buffs. So I really like what NLE have gotten for themselves here.
Now, looking at the remainder of this series, if this does go to game 3, if I'm Bet Your Awful's pool is going to continue to get pinched like this, if Narrow's pool is going to continue to be pinched like this, I think that this is going to be, cause for concern. But I think you said it best. The cage from I'm Bad You're Awful is such a difference maker here, with all of the dashes, with all of the champions that want to get into your face. A well-positioned cage is going to be huge for this squad. I'm not necessarily concerned yet for NLE Kittens, as long as they can find the right angle to get into that backline. With Vincer and Freaktor wanting to go and engage themselves, Uno might not be enough protection for this AP backline to be able to win this one for the Wanderers. But if they have good coordination, if they're able to find those good gameplays like we saw in game 1, I think game 2 could very easily go into Wanderers' favor. But in terms of draft, I still think that this game could go very easily either direction. So very excited to see how this game and the remainder of this series does play out. Let's jump into the Dragon Draft. It was a Hextech Soul to start off game 1. I'm feeling generous. I'm feeling magnanimous today. I'm going to go with the Ocean Soul here in game 2 to start it off.
All right, I won't look a gift horse in the mouth. I'm going to take my charms, Hextech, Chemtech.
Good. I'm going to go with Infernal, and I'm going to give you Mountain this time. So I'm going to take Cloud to round out the Dragon Draft here for game 2. Got ourselves a fun matchup in series. Don't need to restate the importance of this one. The winner of this series gets to go into the playoffs. So a lot riding on both of these teams to make that happen. We'll be back in just a bit after the spectator delay to start off the game. We'll see you guys soon. welcome back, everybody, to the start of game 2 here at the AML. Let me get confirmation that we can see the game. There we go. It's on the wrong window. That's all I have to say, Jack. I'm gonna hand it back over to you.
All right, I'm looking at an early invade immediately spotted out. So evacuate the top side red jungle if you're wanderers. Make sure you see them all leave. Basic already moving away, knowing exactly where they are. And it looks like everyone's put their wards down, so they don't have complete information right now. They know that they're still in there, just not knowing where exactly it is. It looks like Vhagar is going to try and sneak some stacks, gets at least one. So it's going to be an early phenomenal evil advantage. And you know, that 2 AP could make the difference, because last game was a pretty bad start for Unbadger Awful, and hoping not to repeat that here in game 2.
Well, I would say the most impactful part of that is that the Arcane Comet, the MVP of that play, all 5 members get hit from that. It's going to deny the backs of Rex and Nera. They're going to be late to that minion wave. And Light and Freaktor know where they're coming from. Rex is going to go first. Rex, what are you doing? You always let your Nautilus go into the bush first, in my opinion. But it is going to be a nice route landed there by the Nautilus. So Freaktor is going to be taking a significant amount of damage, but does have the pots to be able to back that off. I think the big difference maker out of that was that Rex was the one that took half of their health. They've got to be playing a little bit more careful here to continue this laning phase.
Yeah, especially considering what it is they're up against. You're playing Kai'Sa, you're already going to be in a very vulnerable position early in the game, and now losing half of your HP. They do get the level 2 advantage, but playing against Ziggs Leona, they know how to play into lane getting pushed pretty well. Ziggs can clear the wave so easily, and you know, this was one of the areas last game where Wanderers were somewhat disadvantaged in the wave clear department, but now you've got Ziggs, you've got Vhagar, even Xin Zhao being able to use the Wind Becomes Lightning has a really easy time later on. The blunt force trauma at a Mundo that allows them to push the minions around. Gonna be a lot easier as the game progresses for Wanderers to make sure that they have their waves in a good state. As taking a look at all of the keystones, both having Aftershock, as actually junglers having a little bit of a party here. French Caps moving as well. They are committed to not letting Vincer have the same impact he had in game 1.
Are going to also take that Gromp. Nice bit of roaming there, but the advantage of that was that Unbadger Awful was able to get the minion wave up to the turret, and I believe that at least one of the minions out of that next minion wave also got eaten by the turret, and so a little bit of EXP, a little bit of gold being sacrificed for that. We hand back down into the bottom lane, Light with no mana, but we are going to get a Zenith Blade landing in on Rex. Freaktor, I don't think wanted to go for that, and now they're in trouble, going to be forced to go away. 1 HP remaining, and they will end up going down, but here comes Vincer. Vincer's going to be able to take out Rex to make it a 1-for-1. And that's, again, the Xin Zhao being able to get some early gold into their pocket. I will take support for AD any day of the week.
Yeah, picks up exactly where they left off. Vincer grabbing kills, but it was first blood. Is actually Basic in trouble.
Ow, oh my gosh. I can't believe that Basic was forced to flash there. Did have the disadvantage of not having that extra bit of health back in, a little bit of extra, you know, just, I guess, oomph coming out from that teleport as Waddle was able to pick up the Cull. However, they were able to back quite nicely. Now we're going to be seeing a roam coming out here from the bottom lane from Freaktor. Zenith Blade lands this time, and they're going to be able to get some more phenomenal evil stacks onto Unbadger Awful, continuing to stack up that AP. Also, early stacked on that Tear of the Goddess. They were able to get the back before French Caps, but they're going to be a little bit delayed at being able to get that.
Yeah, and I mentioned in the midpoint of last game that Waddle has the fewest solo queue games played of anyone in this game, but their most played by far is Mbessa. Only 27 games on this account, but a 78% win rate in solo queue on this champion, their most played, and showing a very good command of the champ. And I do suspect, as you said, there's probably some other accounts sneaking around because their laning phase was so strong in game one, and it's continuing to be lane domination as they're going back in with that public execution.
And they have the level 6 advantage. No unstable concoction, or I guess badness. Oh gosh, I always forget the ultimates between them and Singed. Regardless, though, let's move back down here into the bottom lane. No Crescent Guard yet for Vincer, but they are here in a potential 2v1 situation. Nara and Rex are there. They know that Light must be in that brush, and I think that they've sniffed out what exactly is happening here in the bottom lane. Let's see if they try to go for it. Oh boy, Nara's gonna be forced to flash away, but they're gonna be putting Vincer back in. Vincer dangerously low. Light's gonna be able to take out Nara, but it will be a 1-for-1 once again. Rex will be able to take out Vincer, and so that's gonna be Jungler down for 6 seconds. Let's see what that response is from Emrys. They're gonna try to go for the dragon. They will start it.
Yeah, they are starting it, and I just now realized Wukong, an incredibly aggressive summoner setup. They have Smite and Ignite as their pair, and I get it. You've got the Trickster, you've got the Nimbus Strikes, you have a lot of movement available to you, but not even needing it there. Nara, I said, and it is true about their champ pool, no Nautilus games played, but showing that they fully understand how to take advantage of this matchup, and getting Kai'Sa early kills is so imperative. This is a champion that really only needs 3 items to fully be online, and getting closer and closer towards that Kraken Slayer. The item was recently buffed to make it even better against squishy champions, and when you're looking at Ziggs, Vigar, a Xin Zhao that isn't going to be getting any tank items for quite some time, you know, these are champions that Rex is just going to be able to absolutely disintegrate if they can get an angle once those items are complete. So good to keep pushing into it. Unfortunately, they haven't been able to get a kill onto Light, who I think the best word to describe their gameplay has been relaxed in these past 2 games. Even when they were getting pushed in, when they were dying in lane to some unfortunate 2v2s, they just kept calm and were able to achieve the fully upgraded Smolder queue very early. It was like 25 minutes and they had it fully online, and just didn't panic, rode the game out, and were able to be a massive part of the reason they were able to come back. So this game, seeing a similar pattern, 1-0-1 has the Dark Seal stacking, the tier is stacking, and they're just chilling out, relaxing, waiting for these next objective fights so they can really show off the mechanics.
I mean, gotta be cool as a cucumber here, especially considering that you've got 2 AP powerhouses. Once they get their main component items. Until then, though, they're going to be a little bit harder or it's going to be a little bit harder for them to find it. But Vincer is here. Let's see if they're going to be able to find a play here in the bottom lane. That's going to be the dredge line coming through. Nara does not have flash, does not have any means of escaping, and that's going to be a kill for the Wanderers. But now, are they going to be able to get out? And it looks like they're going to get back under turret. French Caps uses their Spirit Rush. They only get the Charm on Light, and I don't think that Emrys or Rex were really in a position to follow up with that. And so the Wanderers are going to be able to get back under tower. They're going to be able to get that kill scot-free. And once again, I'm Bad, You're Awful, able to push the way forward in the mid lane. We'll get one of those turret plates down, and we'll be one step closer to completing that first item.
Yeah, and they're just stacking up as well. Great patience from that bot lane fight. Vincer just sitting out of vision for so long, waiting for the perfect opportunity. And it's important now to mention, I'm talking about these Kai'Sa buffs. Ziggs, they got some direct buffs on this patch to their damage, amplifying it on leveling up those abilities. The ultimate received some increased damage as well. So going to be more and more impactful as the game progresses. Another Dark Seal stack for them, and You know, I like seeing them understand how to play this early game, even though they've got the kill advantage. They've had a lot of these ganks come in bottom lane. They seem to understand that they just have to scale. They have to let Ziggs and Veigar get to a point where they can be impactful. And if Xin Zhao is in the area and it doesn't affect their farming, yeah, sure, we can go for a play here and there. But otherwise, let's just wait. Let's not play crazy. Let's wait for the objectives. If we're going to fight, it has to be a perfect scenario. And now, it seems like NLE Kittens are starting to understand that this game is being played at a pace that they are not in control of. Looking to try and regroup before Dragon. You see Waddle here clearing out some vision on the top side. They've gotten all the objectives so far. It's Freak Tour. So if, yeah, they're just throwing. So I think they just want to back right now, try and finish off some of these completed items and be back on the map with tempo for this Dragon spawn.
Yeah, 55 seconds remaining until it comes through. We are going to be seeing the retreat from Light and Freak Tour. They're going to be able to get some warding out of the jungle as well. Doesn't look like they're going for that back at this point, Jack. But Solar Flare, Mega Inferno Bomb, not necessarily the longest cooldowns. And if they could potentially get Nara out here, that would be big. They are going to be able to get out the flash from Nara, and they're going to be able to get out a depth charge, and they're going to be able to take all of their health. Freak Tour will pick up that kill, but they're going to be off the map for 10 seconds. 20 seconds remaining until the next dragon spawns. You see Ambessa in the bottom lane, going to be seen by Vision, by the Wanderers, so they know that they're there. And now we're going to get that reset as Wanderers are going to allow for Basic to get a little bit of gold back into their pockets. They're behind by 30 CS against Waddle. It does look like that might be the sacrifice here. They will lose out on this second turret. There is no roam. There is no positioning yet. So NLE will be able to at least get something out of that. It is going to be a Drake landing, and I should have gone for the Mountain Soul, Jack. I gave it to you. You do Mountains Rise. Again, give you the 2-0 in the Dragon Draft game here in Week 7.
Yeah, you know, my luck in the AML has stood firm, and you know, I'm not gonna question it. I'm just gonna keep taking my charms and let the faith remain. And speaking of the faith remaining, it seems that Wanderers are completely resigned to the ideology that Xin Zhao is going to come bottom lane, we're going to kill Nara, and that's all we have to do. They're saying no objectives, no turrets, even saying, you know, no CS. They're losing in CS in every single lane. But as long as Xin Zhao can come bottom lane and kill Nara where it is, Waddle could be caught here.
They will be forced to flash away. Nara is going to find a dredge line on Freak Tour, and Rex is also going to pop the Killer Instinct. So it's going to land in onto the Kaisa and the Nautilus. A lot of damage onto Rex as they get hit by the critical zone of that Mega Inferno Bomb. And they're starting to be shipping away a little bit of that damage as well. As you take a look at the build paths here, I'm Bad You're Awful. They wanted to go for that Tear of the Goddess start, which is going to delay their Rod of Ages. But you're talking about this relaxed game state. I think they're perfectly okay with getting a 24, 25-minute Rod of Ages if it means that they're able to find if they're able to find those kills when the Baron does spawn. As we take a look topside once again, Waddle has had a 24 CS lead for about 6 minutes. All of that roaming has given Basic the time to get some minions themselves. That's been very good for them. French Caps, however, going to be hit by the box, going to utilize their 3 uses of the Spirit Rush. Not going to be hit by the full kit of I'm Bad You're Awful yet. They will be able to force out that flash for the time being. We are going to be getting ultimates popped in the top lane. Public execution used. I'm Bad You're Awful now in trouble. No flash this time. French Caps will be able to get their first kill, but it is enough for I'm Bad You're Awful to be able to pick up their Rod of Ages.
Yeah, and that was good patience this time by NLE Kittens, as we do see a kill from Waddle. Might be going down here to Vincer, going towards the tower. They know that they're dead, but you'll take a 1-for-1 in the top lane if you are this super aggressive Ambessa. They went Cyclo Sword. They went for the most high damage build they could. Back to that mid lane. NLE head back there. Actually, never mind. Rex is in a terrible spot now.
Yeah, stun going to be used. That's going to be ignite coming in. There's the solar flare. There's the flash. Mega Inferno Bomb does not land, but the full utility kit of Rex had to be used in order to get away. And Wanderers are going to forfeit another neutral objective. This time it's going to be the Rift Herald as we hit that 15-minute mark. No early turrets going down, but I think that that is going to be, or the first turret going down is going to be very soon, especially considering that Light has those satchel charges. Waddle going to be teleporting down to be able to defend it for the time being. Basic is going to be up in the top lane for a little while. Going to be seeing that. Rex is on the way. Going to be pings on them as well. All that warding around the Rift Herald pit as they just took it. So Rex going to be feeling relatively safe if they get for the time being. Thank you, Caddy. We're going to take a look at gold now. Got about 1,000 gold lead for Waddle on the Mbessa. However, this isn't even game. Where's the 1,000 gold advantage coming from? It is Vincer. That Pantheon that went legendary in game 1. It has 1,000 gold lead against Emrys on the Wukong, who has only had 1 assist in 16 minutes. And I think that that has to credit Wanderers playing such a patient, relaxed game. I really like that adjective that you used, or adverb, or whatever. I think it's an adjective in that sense.
Yep. And I mean, it completely exemplifies Wanderer's play style, and I think they just completely understand how they want to win this game. The communication's so on point, and I want to give, and I know we're going to give them a lot of shouts throughout this game because of just how well they've been playing last game and now. But Vincer, you know, there's been some complaints about the jungle meta right now. Everyone's saying it's all AD bruisers, and sure, there are a good number of champions, but they're all the same type of champion. But I think this jungle meta is incredible because it prioritizes giving junglers priority to make plays in the early game. And Vincer is the type of player that you give them that opportunity and they're going to take it and they are going to run away with these games. They have no real damage engage in mid or bot, but now you see they're still able to find ways to fight because of that jungle play.
And the engage is coming through onto Nara. Nara's going to go down. Vincer's going to be on a killing spree. Planting that solar flare, manning the Mega Inferno Bomb, and now Emrys is gone. Unbad, you're awful. Going to go for that Primordial Burst, and they will die. Rex will be able to get a kill against Vincer. And does Unbad, you're awful have enough damage? Yes, they do. That is a double kill for the Vigar, but it's also a double kill for Rex, as they're able to take out Freaktor as well. But Unbad, you're awful has the support of the Mundo, who comes in, can be able to force a flash out of French caps, but it's Unbad, you're awful that picks up the kill. That's their third. And Light picks up multiple assists in that one with 8 stacks on their Dark Seal now.
It looked as if NLE were going to be able to prevent the onslaught from Wanderers after they found a good angle onto Nara and Emery's, but even after taking down Freaktor, even taking down Vincer, the prognosis was still not good as the Dr. Mundo was too much of a front line, unable to get through it, and now with that rod stacking 3, 1, and 1 is the Veigar, and this is going to be a very timely Roa completion as for NLE, they are so good at taking advantage of these tempo timers, understanding that they lost the fight, but Wanderers are resetting and are able to get themselves to soul point now. Wanderers trying to respond, get some camps down topside, mid lane turret very low, but Otacon could be the target as Light using that depth charge. They're going for another fight.
Yeah, going to be forced to back away here, though, and that might have been a little bit of an overextension, and indeed it is. Light survives by flashing and satcheling away, but it's Emrys that goes down. Had the Cyclone available, but really wasn't able to use it at this point, as Waddle is going to be hiding in the grub, seeing if they're able to find, or I'm sorry, Embed, your Alpha's going to be seeing if they can find Waddle. They're going to find them, but it's not going to be any sort of engage upon them. And now, I feel like the tables are starting to turn into Wanderer's favor. All of that patience is paying off. They're going to be able to give Light a blue buff. They're going to be able to get a tower down in the mid lane, and they're looking to get an inner tower down here in the top lane as well. The cage around it so that Mbeza can't come through. There's the satchel, there's the gold, there's the tower down, and the gold lead is now starting to go up and up for the Wanderers. They're up by about 4,000 here at the 20-minute mark. Otacon is now spawned.
Oh god, if you are a fan of NLE Kittens, do not look at Veigar's items. This is an absolute nightmare right now. This Veigar is going to tear through them. Otacon has been started, but there is absolutely no damage if Kai'Sa is not there. And it looks as though Wanderers choosing to defend the minions on mid side, so they could just sneak this away. There's no vision. Last game though, Otacon was the demise. They got clean aced last game. Could it be some deja vu for Wanderers?
And French Caps is going to get hit by the Solar Flare Slow. They're going to be having to use the Spirit Rush to be able to get away. But Veigar is there to be able to take out Everest. And Nera is extremely low. That's going to be 2 members of NLE Kittens down. Make it 3. And a double kill for Vincer. I'm Bad, You're Awful will pick up 2 as well. So 4 members of NLE Kittens go down. And Rex is the only one remaining alive. Can this be another disastrous Otacon again? Not as disastrous because Rexus survives, but giving kills over to Vincer and giving kills over to I'm Bad, You're Awful once again for the Wanderers. They might still be able to get this ace here. No, they won't. Cleanse and Flash used, however.
I mean, we called it out pre-fight. They didn't have any Otacon damage. It takes them so long. Their armor gets so shredded over the course of that objective take, and once all the members converge onto it, just an absolute slaughter. Not a clean ace, but a 4-for-1, and I'm about to make a reference I guarantee no one is going to get. NLE Kittens looking more like an NLE Choppa song. They did it before and they'll do it again. Let's see how that one lands, but good news is that Rex has 2 items. Once the Gnasher's Tooth comes in, it's going to be so much easier for them to get kills, dive in, and find angles, as Nera doing a very good job dipping and dodging away from these projectiles, from these 2 massive AP carries. I mean, again, like I said, don't look at Veigar items. Now don't look at Zig's items. About to get the Seraphs, got the Horizon Focus, so much damage. And when you look at the other side, who's going to build a meaningful amount of MR? You know, Mbessa's not going to be able to build a ton of MR. Wukong's not going to have the income to do so. They're sitting on 1.5 items. So it's going to be so difficult for NLE to itemize against the impending damage, and Waddle now just caught out.
Public Execution used, trying to be able to get away. We'll have to use the Flash as well. White is there. Could try to drop the Mega Inferno Bomb, but it looks like the 3 members of the Wanderers will be able to take them out. No assist for Light. Has 7 stacks on that Dark Seal still. Could potentially upgrade that to a Magi's. And we are starting to reach critical mass in the mid lane, Jack, as we're about to hit the 10th stack of that Rod of Ages, that extra level for I'm Bad, You're Awful is going to mean that they're going to have level 16 fully stacked ultimate. And I think that that NLE Kittens knows this. They've got to see if they can find any advantages as soon as possible. And it looks like it's going to be an inner tower going down in the top lane, traded for Waddle's life, and that inner tower in the bottom lane. Emrys going to be able to avoid the big damage from I'm Bad, You're Awful. But now we're going to be seeing a potential engage here by NLE Kittens. They're going to land the Charm of Freak Tour. But thankfully for Freak Tour, Nera did not land that Dredge line. Baron spawning in about a minute's time. The 4th dragon of the game is now spawning now. And on the case is going to be Vincer. Going to be around the area, but it doesn't look like they're going to be trying to start it quite yet. They may be looking to see if they can find some kills, fight a skirmish before that happens. The teleport is going to come in from I'm Bad, You're Awful. Very close to getting that 10th stack on that Rod of Ages, as a dragon now starting.
Gonna be level 60. Emrys just takes an enormous amount of damage, and behind the wall of Freak Tour and Basic, the dragon will go down. First dragon claimed by the Wanderers, trying to build up some tank stats. And now when you look at the champions for Wanderers, you've got Leona building full tank items, even though it's not going to be a lot because there's not a lot of income. You've got Dr. Mundo going to start building some resistances, and Nera getting caught again, but not getting hit by the Zenith Blade. Very well done to get out of range of that. So now at least going to be able to save themselves some time. They have Waddle pushing in bottom lane. They're going for Vision on Baron. Teleport is going to be there to answer. That just means that if they wanted to try and do something sneaky at Baron. They could, but good job by Wanderers positioning in a manner to keep them out. As it looks like Vincer is hitting this right now. I think that, I don't know if they have the damage to actually sneak this away. Not a lot of on-hit damage out of anyone except for Xin Zhao. But with Emery's committing to this bot side, Ziggs and Xin Zhao can probably get this done. It'll take them a little bit, but I mean, NLE have absolutely no idea that this is going on.
Not at all, but 4 members of the Wanderers are now there. Baron's going to be down to about 9,000 HP. Nara, Waddle, and French Caps. Do they try to go into the Baron pit? Yes, they do, and now they know that it is happening. Rigtor is there. There comes the Cage. Vince is going to get hit. Crescent Guard used. Baron is going to get deleashed. No Dredge Line landing from Nara this time, as I'm bad, you're awful. Going to look to see if they can get the Primordial Burst. Waiting out the pit, and they will not be able to get it quite yet. Vince is going to go down. I'm bad, you're all going to go up against Waddle. We'll be able to get them dead, but Rex is going to be able to get that kill onto the Vigar. It's now Rex's and French Caps up against what remains of the Wanderers, and it's going to be basic. That did not go the way of the Wanderers, and now NLE have a chance to try to stabilize this and stop the Vigar from getting too powerful, or it's too late.
I mean, almost an exact replay of last game. As soon as it seemed like Wanderers were in full control, NLE find a massive fight where Wanderers just make the wrong decision. You saw how little damage they were dealing to Baron, how long it would have taken them to fully get it. They tried to turn, but they missed everything. They missed Solar Flare, they missed the Mega Inferno Bomb, they missed the Zenith Blade, so none of the CC landing, and they just run out of HP. They're trying to throw out all their artillery, but I think really the MVP of that fight was French Caps, able to isolate I'm bad, you're awful from the fight, forcing them to use Flash just to get back in, and then landing a charm onto Light that prevented them from chasing down Rex. Gonna be another fight here, just getting replay over and over again. NLE probably on Shot of Flow 8. Going for another reference nobody's going to get, as vision control is being regained by Wanderers. They don't want to give up another objective. This is the only real point you can look at for Wanderers and say they've struggled all throughout the series. As Rex, what the hell are you doing?
Oh no, Rex is dead is what they're doing. They're going to be 6 feet under. Meanwhile, your references are in outer space, Jack. To be further from me knowing what they are. And unfortunately for NLE Kittens, because of Rex going down, this is going to be a free Baron take, or almost free Baron take. And Bessa going to try to take out that tower in the bot lane. The mid lane and inner tower is going to go down, and Bessa actually deals a significant amount of damage onto that one, and they will be able to get that out, and they'll be able to get out the inhibitor tower in the mid lane. Not a bad trade, as long as the Wanderers aren't able to really capitalize on this. The big advantage that NLE Kittens has is that they've got those 3 Drakes stacked. They could be looking to go for a Mountain Soul if they win a fight. They're going to be in a really tough spot to do it, as the Wanderers have Baron for the next 2.5 minutes. They were able to reset immediately, get back onto the map, and now they're pushing towards to get the trade in the mid lane, and they will be able to get that trade in the mid lane. Vincer's going to be able to find Emrys as the Cyclone comes through. Knockup is in. Lots of damage on the Vincer, and Vincer's going to go down. Waddle going to sacrifice their life for the cause, as I'm bad, you're all going to be able to take that kill onto the Ambessa. French Caps trying to be able to get some damage on the Light and Freaktor, but they are going to be able to survive for a little while longer. I'm bad, you're awful. Gonna force a flash out of Nara as the cage was used. And now, Wanderers looking to continue the charge forward. Can they get an inhibitor down? Trading it for the Dragon. That pack is awfully dangerous there for French Caps, and they're gonna get denied that pack. Yeah, that's the knockup coming through, as Nara's gonna get hit by that Mega Inferno Bomb. And now here comes the rest of Wanderers. The steal from Lights. No Mountain Soul for NLE Kittens, and now can they get more out of this? They will be able to take out Nara. They will be able to take out Emrys. And I gotta call out French Caps there. An awful back. I don't know why they were in the Dragon Pit for that.
I don't know why either, but Light comes in there, saves the day, prevents the Mountain Soul. I thought that this was going to be another moment where Wanderer's miscommunication cost them big, because you see Vincer goes into that Raptor camp with no follow-up, dies. Waddle's able to do so much on the back line, but they recover with Light saving the day, and then Dr. Mundo moving in, acting with absolute recklessness, throwing those cleavers around, and this is going to be the game. Wanderers advance into the playoffs, still alive with a chance to win over $1,700.
Ow, and it might be an opportunity for them to keep this game going. No, it is not. Waddle was just in the bottom lane, unfortunately, there, and did not defend against the Nexus. Those satchel charges will take out the inhibitor tower, and then, you know, just big demolish damage from basic, and then just big damage overall from Light. I'm Bad You're Awful goes down, so they weren't able to add that AP hit damage there, but irrelevant. Still going to be the Wanderers being able to win this series 2-0. A little bit better in terms of the team fighting, I think, from NLE Kittens. Overall, in the two games that we saw them play, I thought that their strength came out of their early game, but they just floundered in the mid to late game. And it is a bit of deja vu here, Jack. It is the 18-minute mark that the Wanderers were able to take the game into their favor. Another big valley going to be eaten by a flounder play by the Wanderers. Kittens getting it back down to just a little bit under 1,000, or a little bit over 1,000 gold. So, I mean, this game could have definitely gone either way, but I think the mid to late game of the Wanderers was just so much better in both of these games, and I think that's why we saw them draft a Ziggs and Vigar to really capitalize on that.
Yeah, they just seem so much more in tune, and even when they started to slip out of their win condition, they were always able to find their way back. And, you know, this is the big difference between your playoff teams and your teams that can compete in the regular season. They have pretty decent records, but it's that decision-making in the clutch, in the most pressure situations. You're able to see Wanderers, they lose a fight, but they understand right away, we can keep going. If we fight the dragon, even if we don't steal it, we can win the fight afterwards. Mundo's full HP. They have full resistance items. We have Ziggs. We have Vagar. They can put out so much damage so quickly, and everyone left is squishy. And then you see on the other side, as you called out, these minor mistakes that end up being so meaningful. French Caps getting their back stopped. You have Emery's getting caught out over and over again. Waddle not backing instead and pushing in the bottom wave. Nara's positioning all game. Rex, I mean, this game kind of played out so similar to game one with the Otacon flip and then the Baron flip. We kind of forgot the fact that Rex just walked into a blind bush and got insta-killed for a free Baron. You know, those tiny moments are what make the difference between playoff teams and teams that are on the outside looking in at this time.
Yeah, I mean, I have to, like, that gold graph is so big. You go from practically even, a little bit less than 400 gold, or a little bit more than 400 gold of an advantage for the Wanderers at 18 minutes, 20 minutes. It is an almost 4,000 gold advantage. You increase your gold lead tenfold in about 2 minutes time. That is, I think, that just goes to show you that the early game strategy from the Wanderers just paid off. That's when the big AP items started to come in for both on Bad, You're Awful, and Light. I think it was around the 18 or the 20-minute mark that we saw the Rabadons get completed. So it just a complete collapse there of the game state for NLE Kittens. But regardless, a really fun series overall. Wanderers will be the team that moves on into the round of 16, which is the playoffs. We've still got some games left to be played before we find out how the final bracket is going to be playing out. You're going to be seeing the seeding here in a couple of days, so it's going to be a ton of fun. But with that being said, I guess the last thing that I have to say is make sure that you're here an hour earlier because we're going to be starting at 7 EST. Go for those best of fives, which are always so exciting. And I think that there are a lot of teams that could potentially take it here, Jack.
Yeah, and especially I love you pointing out, we have other divisions going on right now. Death cards, we haven't really been able to see them yet this season because of some reschedules, but they have a very good record, 5-2. Sin when we watched. Then you've got like teams like Akuma that went from winning last split. Now they've got 3 teams out there, 2 of them potentially making it into the playoffs. Obviously, you got Dorado Gaming, their big team. You've got Drop Dead Gaming, Stasis Gaming, Lane Zero have their represented. I mean, this is going to be a massive bracket, and I love our format because it's not doing, one of these weird things where it's like, oh, we'll do Swiss stage, or then we'll do this, then we'll do no. Take 16 teams, throw them into best of 5 brackets. We're taking good lessons from MSI. More best of 5s, the better, and this is going to be an incredible AML playoffs.
Yeah, and you've also got that reseeding after the end of the round of 16 to go into the quarterfinals, which I'm very excited about. That's the Arcane division coming in there. And so, folks, don't miss the start of the playoffs next week, 4 p.m. start time if you're Pacific. Thank you guys again all so much for watching. On behalf of everybody here at Aegis Esports, we'll see you guys next week, and take care.